That brings us to today's big interview, and why not welcome in the aforementioned Curt Cignetti, who is leading his Hoosiers onto the field for the first time this Thursday night. Coach, I'm really eager. I'm really excited to see what you guys do on the field for the first time. I mean, you've been at this for a few weeks with the guys now. How would you describe, what's a word you would use for how you're anticipating Thursday night?
Only one word?
I mean, if you can muster one, yeah.
I think we'll be fine. Based on our practice today, I'd say the guys are really saving themselves for Thursday. Now I know why I had a walk through the practice before our spring game last year.
And that the eagerness that I referenced, because you have, like I referenced, you've been doing it for a few weeks with the guys here, but a lot of time spent in workouts and meetings before that. How different is it once you're actually able to be on the practice field, really getting to know the guys there?
I think it was a lot different because the way we practice, I think, is a lot different than what the players that were here in the past are accustomed to. You know, I mean, if you want to get the guys better, you got to try to simulate a game as much as you can because games happen fast. You got to be able to react to success, failure, you know, a lot of moving parts. So I think by the third practice, they started to get it. There were a lot of practices that felt like practices in the past. And they were fairly consistent for the most part, except for one or two after scrimmages that weren't quite up to the standard. So, you know, you're putting in a new offense, new defense, special teams, you know, what your standards, expectations are. And I give these guys a lot of credit. I thought they put together a great effort.
And normally we see a lot of coaches who maximize like every single hour, every date available to them. You don't necessarily have that opportunity with 13 practices available to you this spring. But as far as I can tell, you don't seem too bothered by the 13 out of 15 available. But why are you comfortable with being able to function in that way?
Well, you know, sometimes less can be more. And, you know, what's a magic number? I don't know. To me, the goals in the spring, first and foremost, you got to keep your guys healthy, especially your key guys. You can't lose guys to long-term injury. And in our case, we had to teach an offense, defense, special teams, and how we practice and what we expect, what our standards and expectations are, consistency and performance, and, you know, how we conduct ourselves on the field. So I'm a short practice guy. I've never gone 15 practices. I've never gone 25 in the fall. It's worked for me. So I'm not going to change what's worked.
It's definitely worked well for you. There's no doubt about that over the years. And I've been able to talk to you on the radio before and just watching you interview quite a bit. There seems to be this degree of urgency about you and also blended with a good amount of confidence. Have you always been kind of wired in this way, or has that been born over years just with success in the game?
Well, I guess it's probably been honed and developed a little bit more since I've been a head coach. This is year 14. You know, I think when you take a new job like that, you know, you're learning. The second year, you're a lot better than the first. And by about the fifth or sixth, you kind of got it down. So, you know, a big part of taking this job was, you know, I felt the commitment from the administration. But in my mind, I'd done this job twice already, you know, 2 turnarounds where you had a big year one. So you're always looking to improve because you get better, you get worse. But, you know, we got a blueprint, we got a plan, we work our plan every day and we get results. So I think, you know, when you are successful, you probably develop some confidence through those successes that rubs off on other people. The key is to stay successful.
And what's your normal approach? Because to your point, you have done this. You've taken over programs, taken them to new heights at previous stops. Do you normally spend time evaluating film and kind of watching to get a gauge for your players' skills in the past, or do you just sort of start from scratch?
Well, the first thing I've always done when I take a new job is I have the old staff rate to returning team 1 to 50 and get an average so that when I walk in day one, that's sitting on my desk so I know who's who. We're definitely going to watch some film, especially in this day and age. This is the first job I took over where you had a transfer portal. And it was a quick process. I think I got hired in 3 days. And, you know, they didn't tell me we had 10 offensive starters in the portal. Of course, I wouldn't have told me either. So, you know, you got to make determinations when you got 24 guys total in the portal day one, who you want to keep and who you're going to let go. But we had great success. We brought 22 new guys in here, and most of them were 2-3-year starters. And they've really, I think, impacted our roster very significantly and sort of our identity that we're trying to form here. And, I think if you ranked our current team 1 to 40, a pretty large percentage of those guys would be in the top 10, 15 on our team right now.
And in some of those previous stops, you've had so much success at the quarterback position in your offensive system and at multiple schools with a variety of signal callers. Is there sort of a common thread that you look for in what makes a successful QB in your offense?
I think you got to work with what you got. I mean, we've had pure pocket guys, pure dual threat guys, and guys in between. And you got to assess his strengths and the strengths of your personnel on offense and try to design a system around the quarterback strengths and everybody else's. And, I think Tino Sinceri, my quarterback coach, does a great job developing those guys. I've been a quarterback guy in the past. I'm pretty involved in the offensive meetings. But, we've also benefited from really good defensive play, too, since I've been a head coach. But, our quarterbacks have come a long way. This is the 5th year in a row we've changed quarterbacks. And the prior 4 were all the player of the year in the league. And they all had their critics. A lot of people that were close to the program didn't think they could play, and they're player of the year in the league. So, if I had a magic formula, I wouldn't share it with you right now and everybody else watching.
That secret sauce that everyone's always looking for when they're trying to get that development happening. You do have a quarterback who's transferred in on the roster now who has been a player of the year in a previous league in Curtis Rourke from Ohio, by way of Canada, of course. Big guy with a lot of talent. How would you evaluate the way his spring has gone?
Like his spring a lot. I think he's come a long way. Understands how to play quarterback. He's had a lot of success. He's won a lot of football games. He's been in pressure situations and responded. So, he's tall. He sees the field. He's got good arm strength. He's got good vision. And he's a super intelligent guy. So I think, he's stacked days. And he's separated himself to some degree at this point. But he'd be the first to tell you there's a lot of areas he can improve on.
And Taven Jackson, amongst a variety of other QBs on the roster who are in the mix right now, how will that competition continue to play out? As far as, do you have a timeline in mind?
I don't have a crystal ball. I guess how it will play out will be determined on how Curtis Rourke and Taven Jackson and Tyler Cherry and whoever else, Mendoza, who's coming in the fall, what they do every single day to help themselves become the best they can be. And then we evaluate it and we play the guy that we think gives us the best chance.
A variety of guys I talked to over the years, they kind of have different approaches to the playbook in the first spring with a squad. Do you just kind of throw everything at them, taking more of a volume approach, or is it kind of a piecemeal sort of situation?
I've been involved in both of those. While I am very involved with the meetings in the spring, I have a tendency to back off. I'm sort of the invisible hand. I'll tell the guys I want to see this or that. We do watch all the good on good together from practice, but I let Mike Shanahan do the install. He's been with me 9 years, and he's kind of a whole part guy. He throws it at him. So I've seen both of them work. I've seen both of them not work. A lot of it depends on how good your players are, but the past 3 or 4 springs, our day one volume has been pretty significant.
It seems that Bryant Haynes has had a lot of success with a fairly aggressive style for you, coaching your defense in years past. Will we see much of that aggression on display Thursday night?
I haven't given a whole lot of thought. Back in the old days, you used to hold some things so people couldn't see it. But, everybody watches your tape from the last 2 years and has a pretty good idea who you are. Bryant Haynes has had a lot of success as a coordinator the last 2 years, and it'd be kind of crazy for him to change everything. So, I think people have an idea what we do. There's some new things everybody puts in the spring that they want to take a look at. Maybe we'll hold a thing or two, but I suspect you'll see about 80% of it Thursday night.
And you're not going, cream versus crimson or first team, second team. You're going defense versus offense, which I love. What made you decide to go with that format?
Everything's ones-on-ones. Everything we do is ones-on-ones, twos-on-twos. It's the only way you get better. You got to go against good competition. To me, this is just another practice, except it's game-like. The coaches are off the field. We'll have a running clock. And, I've never really approached it quite like a game. It's being advertised as a game. We're going to play a half. We probably won't kick the ball except for extra points and field goals. And you guys wanted to come, so I said, okay, let's do it. Let's have a good time. But this is the first time we'll tackle. Our 2 scrimmages have been thud, and it'll be interesting to see how the guys respond to game-like circumstances.
We're definitely going to be watching. There's no doubt about that. And the roster that you have in place right now, you might be aware the transfer portal window is opening back up here. How will you balance the transfer portal opportunities with high school recruiting, especially kind of from this point forward as you formulate the roster?
Well, it's probably why I woke up at 2:30 this morning, was in the office at 4, because today's the first day of the portal. It's like going to Walmart for a big sale. But you got to do good in the portal nowadays. And I think we did very well in January. I think we changed our roster quite a bit. We still have some needs primarily on the defensive side of the ball that we got to fix if we want to accomplish our goals in the fall. And I'm confident that we will. We have a little bit of an unbalanced situation currently on our roster where we have about 47 on offense on scholarship and only 34 on defense. So I've got to get that thing to about 50-50, and we've got to help ourselves a little bit inside up front and at safety, and with depth also. So, but I'm a firm believer, you got to have a solid foundation when you build a house, and you got to sign 15 to 20 high school guys a year. And I think really when your program gets humming, you've got a good nucleus of high school guys, and they believe and they're bought into what you're doing, and you don't lose many guys in the portal. And at JMU, when I was there, we lost 1 or 2 a year max. And but we're not at that point now at Indiana. We still have needs. You got to win right away. People want it now. So as soon as we get off this call, I can guarantee I'll be turning my phone on and seeing who threw their name in today.
Well, Curt Cignetti, I do have a word for you for Thursday. Curious. I know that's definitely how I feel, waiting to watch you lead your team onto the field Thursday night. Thanks for your time, Coach.
Appreciate it, man. I'll second that. I'm curious, too.
No more reason to be curious about the WNBA draft, because next on Big Ten Today, Megan McEwen joins us to recap the eventful night from last night. We get her thoughts on the Big Ten stars next.